All right, so I'm gonna stop right here and ask you, have we learned anything yet? I mean, no offense, I could adjourn today, and if you didn't go home with a treasure trove of things, you missed it. You weren't paying attention. Really, you weren't paying attention. So I wanna get a couple of things real quickly. What have you learned, seen, ideas, concepts have popped into your head? So I'll tell you what, most of the stuff that I did, I was 24, 25, and 26 years old. No credit, no history, no training. I got a real estate license and I had an insatiable curiosity, and no one could tell me no. If you wanted to get me to do something, tell me I can't do it. Tell me I can't do it. City planner tells me it's not a duplex. Planning desk tells me it's not a duplex. What are we gonna do? I'm gonna create the 5 things that are tools against the city to get a duplex. Do you have that gear? Do you have that insatiable push forward gear? Do you have that insatiable curiosity? Guys, there's a different life that you could be living right now if you refuse to settle with the one that you have. And I don't want that to sound condescending that your life's not good enough, but there's a different life available to all of you the moment you change your thinking and the commitment levels that you make. That's what this is all about today. And I did this on a small scale. You know, some of you guys didn't follow us. We went by a 369 lot subdivision that we did. I just assumed you guys would follow us in the car. And I didn't put that on the tour today because I made too much money. And I thought if I tell you how much money I made on that deal, all of your brains will go bloop. Okay? Deals everywhere. Deals everywhere. All deals all around here. All right, well, let's talk about this real quickly. This was an enigma. You're gonna see another property right over here. We're gonna drive over to it in a minute. There's a commercial spot over there. But I opened my RE/MAX office here. I bought a failing RE/MAX office from another operator here in Spanish Fork. She was a 1-agent office, which RE/MAX doesn't like. That time they were the largest real estate franchise in the world. They had the most agents, and they were doing great business. And they said to me, hey, Mike, we can sell you a new franchise, but we'd really love it if you went and grabbed that one there. Because I lived literally right across the freeway in a home over there. There's some deals over there we're not gonna look at today, but right over the freeway, and I wanted to have an office by my house, right? And it literally was, as a bird flies, 150 yards, but I had to go around the freeway. It took me 7 minutes to get here. Well, guess where I drove every day? Come down this street right here, around here, and back down through here, right around that street, and my offices are right over there. We're gonna go see them in a minute. So I drove by this property every day, and there's some things that really tick me off. Can I tell you what they are? First one is, when I'm the prominent real estate broker in the area, my real estate franchise, RE/MAX, was selling at that time, 17 agents, we did about 350 to 400 transactions a year with 17 of us. National average for realtors is about 4 transactions a year each. Now, 100 of those were mine, and I had some stalwarts here. Anybody heard of Kenny Parcell? Oh, yeah. He was in my office too. I recruited him over when he was young and just cutting his teeth. We had Dave Priest, who has done a whole bunch of stuff. He was the one that had that townhome property and didn't call me. And I'm like, dude, we called him Davey Lee because the owner of RE/MAX, his middle name was Dave Lee also, but had a different last name. So as soon as we found that out, Dave Priest was Davey Lee after that, forever. So I called him, I'm like, Davey Lee, how'd you not sell me that? Anyways, so I'm driving past this property and they list it with Coldwell Banker. 6 months, doesn't sell. It's listed as a fourplex lot. Doesn't sell. Next week, after 6 months, the sign goes down. There's no sign. I called the guy and I said, hey, what are you doing? I got the top rated office right here, 2 blocks from your property. Do you think maybe you'd give us a call? And he goes, you're too late. And Better Homes and Gardens had it listed for 6 months after that. Better Homes and Gardens. Then 6 months after that, Century 21. And 6 months after that, and I called this guy in between listings, and I'm like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? He goes, well, this listing expires in 3 weeks. Give me a call and we'll talk. So I call him later and I said, what are you doing, man? He said, we do all the business in Spanish Fork. Why aren't you calling us? He said, well, I got a problem. I said, what side? He said, I'm trying to sell this as a fourplex lot. And everyone that goes to the city and asks if they can get a fourplex here, the city says what? No, not a fourplex. So in Spanish Fork City at the time, the city required 14,000 square feet. This was 1 acre and 3/4. Is that more or less than 14,000 square feet? That's several multiples of 14,000 square feet. The other thing the city required are some setbacks. What are setbacks? How much the distance has to be from different areas, roads, side setbacks, front setbacks, et cetera, et cetera. So everyone went down. The other thing the city required was 120 feet of frontage for a fourplex. Let's come across the street with me here, please. What do we see here? Let's take a quick walk. Let's see what we see here. Tell me what this is. This is not a fourplex lot. So was he right? This wasn't a fourplex lot? I can't hear you. Yeah, he was right. It wasn't a fourplex lot. This was a fourplex, and a duplex. And by the way, we platted this so that each of the properties could be owned separately. So I could sell this one, sell this one, sell this one. And here's the thing, I did these, they were brand new, they're 3 bedrooms. And when we went to sell these, when I went to put them up on the market, I called my good lender friend. He said, you're gonna have a hard time comping that. And I go, I know, I've looked. The closest fourplex that was 5 years old or newer was in Pleasant Grove. And so how are they gonna comp a brand new property like this? He said, Mike, I get why you're asking what you wanna ask, but it's not gonna appraise. And I go, oh yes it will. He goes, no, it's not gonna appraise. And I go, oh yes it will. And how did I get it to appraise? Well, Hunter doesn't know this, but Hunter and his siblings and his mother and I moved into that unit right there. And we did an owner-occupied FHA loan with 3% down, which I had the equity from having been the builder. We bought the property. I had it in a sub-S corporation. It was called Maddie Corp. My oldest daughter's named Maddie. You guys remember Madison Park that we're doing now, the 40 townhomes that none of you are partners in except for that man and that man. So my wife and I bought this fourplex from our sub-S corporation and did it on the MLS. I then put this one under contract. I had people that were interested in all the buildings, but the next appraiser that came in wasn't the one that I called. Came in and he used this one as a comp. And now he only had to find 2 comps that would justify this one. So I created again, what did I create? My own economy. I created my own economy. You guys gotta learn how to do that. Learn how to be bigger than yourselves. So I bought this myself. And if someone's not gonna buy it, and if I can't get an appraisal, I'll be the first comp. That's the technique here. I will be the first comp. Right? And then everything can spring from that. Let me teach you a lesson. Appraisers don't set the value. Developers do. Appraisers don't set the market. Buyers do. Properties are worth what someone's willing to sell or buy it for, not what some appraiser says. We have a saying about that. Those that can do, those that can't appraise. Interesting that guy want to come here and stop my development, right? So again, what did we have here? Fourplex, duplex, right? What have I asked you to do at every property that you've done everywhere you go? First thing you do is what? First thing you do is what? Pull up the plat map. So I did that. I put this under contract, pulled up a plat map, and guess what we had? Guess what we had? A landlocked property. This is something you need to learn. Follow me. There's lots of remnant pieces, especially in the older parts of town. You don't ever see this in subdivisions that are 30 years old or newer, but the older parts, like how old is this house right here? Pretty old. If one of you guys was looking on the county tax plat, you'd be able to pull up very easily how old this house is. So this is a remnant piece of property. So I go to this guy and I say to him, listen, I got fourplex, duplex at what the price they couldn't sell it, minus 6% plus a haircut. And I'm like, I don't have enough square footage. Because the city had a couple of metrics. They said how many frontage feet you had to have. So if I needed 120 linear feet of frontage for one fourplex, how do I have 2 fourplexes and 2 duplexes? Some other mechanism that you should be insanely curious about, right? But I went to this guy and I said, hey, I'm about to block you in. Because the city, my first iteration with the site plan, had this beautiful white fence come up. And by the way, do these buildings look like they were built in 1997? No. Do they look 27 years old? No. They don't. I built them well, didn't I? Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all day. Thank you. I'll be here all day. Thank you very much. So the point here is this. I said, I'm going to put I brought him out here. I got him out here. I met him out here. And I said, hey, I'm going to put a fence right here. And where are you going to get access from? I go, you don't have access. I pulled the title report already. And I asked the title company to see if you had an easement on this property, this property, this property, this property, or this property. And good sir, you do not have an access. So I don't want to be the one to deliver the bad news. You're blocked. And he goes, we'll see about that. So I go submit this fourplex duplex and to the city. I'm on my preliminary plat, which goes to the Planning Commission and the City Council. Public hearing at the City Council, and they say, we open it up. I did my presentation. They open it up, and this guy comes walking up. Is there anyone here that is in opposition to the project? And who stands up? This dope stands up and goes to the mic and says what? Can you imagine it now? Goes up and says what?
My lane is locked.
This man and this fence right here is landlocking my property, and he's unfairly burdening me, and he's not willing to buy my property, and this project should be blocked, or I should be forced to be given an easement back to my property. And the city council was like this. Oh, and they all went like this. I'm sitting over here, and they all went. And I'm kidding, but that's what it felt like, right? And they're like, what are you going to say, Mike? What are you going to say? Well, was I prepared for this guy? What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is 1997. This guy bought the property in 1979 for $479. I said, this man bought this on a tax sale for $479 in 1979. I had my title researchers pull all the information. It was a landlocked parcel when he bought it. It has never had an easement, and he's never tried to get an easement, by his own words, when I met him on the site. So I am not landlocking his property. I was just the one that pointed it out to him. And the whole city council went, what? And looked at him, right? And he's dead in the water. What are you going to say? And I said, and furthermore, I offered the guy $8,000 for a property he paid $479 for. And he said no. He said he wants 4 times that. And I'm here to tell you, it's unlawful for you to make me give him an easement. He knew he didn't have one, and I will not give him an easement, and that's not going to be a part of this plat. And it is not a part of this submission, and you can't make me do it. He's known for this many years that he doesn't have access. And they voted 6-1 to approve my plat. So he follows me out of the building and says what? Follows me out of the building and says what?
I'll sell it.
Well, you really know your stuff, huh? You really know your stuff. I'll take $12,000. He's trying to negotiate with me again. The guy started to negotiate with me again. And I just said, I'm not interested. I'm down the road. By the time it takes me I'll have to go back through Planning Commission and City Council, not interested. And I did what? Something so many of you are willing to do. Can I tell you what so many of you are unwilling to do? I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that and walk away. Here's the thing. You guys, it's like that black sheep scene where, that Tommy Boy section where they're in the restaurant and he has that little roll and he's like, I love my roll, but then I hurt my roll. That's what you guys act like with your deals. You overdo it. You show too much anxiety. You put too much pressure, which leads people to believe that you're desperate. And if you had 20 deals, how important is each deal if there's 20 of them going? Less. You can walk away. You can make decisions that aren't bad decisions. So I literally said to him, I walked away and he goes, okay, 10. And I looked back to him, I said, 8's the number and don't call me until you're ready. And I walked away. And I picked up my pace, by the way. So he comes running out behind me, behind the parking lot. Okay, let's do it. So we went over to a restaurant, 8:30 at night, and wrote it up. Bought this for $8,000. Duplex lot for $8,000, ladies and gentlemen. Duplex lot. Wow, one person's clapping. Hey, duplex lot for $8,000 here. $8,000, but I still didn't have frontage. So let's go over. Did anybody want to learn how I got out of the frontage?
Yes.
I said, I can't have a fourplex. And they said, nope, can't have a fourplex. That's a big lot right there. That's a big house lot. And I think the fourplex was 120 feet of frontage and a duplex was 100 feet of frontage. And we had either 95 or 97, I can't remember. So they didn't have enough to do either. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go take a look at things. I said, I'm gonna go find another way. So I went through their entire zoning code as it related to multifamily, and there was a little term in there. Little term, what was it? PUD. PUD. Write this down for me, please. This will be this will be unbelievable for you if you just take this today. This will be unbelievable for you. A PUD. Now, there's several acronyms I'm going to give you right next to these, please. There's PUD, PRD, PAD, and PD. So let's go through what each one of those is. PUD is a planned urban development. PAD is a planned area development. A PD is a planned development. So they all have different acronyms, but what this is I like to refer to this in layman's terms as make sense zoning. What does that mean? Make sense zoning. I studied, and what I found out was if you wanted a fourplex, you needed 120 square feet of frontage, and you needed 14,000 square feet, and you needed particular setbacks, right? So I said to myself, gosh, we have the square footage that's necessary per lot. And I actually tried to do an 8-plex, a 4-plex, and a 4-plex here, by the way. So we tried for 16 units. And one of the reasons they said no was I didn't have 14,000 per square feet for 2 buildings each, plus, I don't remember what it was. I think it was 20,000 square feet for the 8-plex moving forward. So what a PUD was, a planned unit development, planned urban development. Different cities have different acronyms, but I like to refer to it as make sense zoning. And what it means is we can overcome a shortcoming in the requirement for a property if there's something that makes up for it. Yeah, for short frontage, Mike, what are you going to do to make this a viable development so that we're happy for the city? And what would that be? Anybody want to take a guess? Well, come over here. I'm going to show you something real quick. What it is a PUD is make sense zoning. Hey, we'll give you the units because you have the square footage, because you have the zoning, and we'll overlook the frontage because, first of all, you're going to put in amenities like these pads. The basketball stand that used to be here, covered parking. This was a big one for them, putting in this drainage line to carry all the water off of this site and to push it back down through. Very cool for them. They're very excited about that. I took 6% off his list price plus another hit, and then I wrote in there, any unnecessary or abnormal development costs will be taken out of the listing price. And I knew there was water there, and I knew we were going to have to pay a heavy penny. And I told him I listed parking lot issues, compaction issues, drainage issues will be subtracted from my purchase price. So the purchase price I put this under contract at was less at closing the cost of this line for 1,000 feet. Didn't pay for it. He did. Let me say that again. I didn't pay for that. He did.
Try and sue you or go to court or anything?
No, he was desperate to get rid of the property. By this time, it was the property he couldn't get rid of. Right. And nobody was going to build a house here, by the way. Makes a lot of sense, right? So we got fire hydrants, we got sewer, it's a beautiful area here. I built the whole thing. In fact, I was going to tell you, and I got my builder's license. I built this fourplex right here. And I built every one of these. I was the GC on this project. And my first attempt at building anything started here.